So I'm
So,
happy. That's what it means, though, is
okay,
disrupting the status quo.
okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I was reading whoever's typing right now is reading what you were writing, and you erased it. So you want to read? I'll give you an opportunity to refill it out, but I'll read the one next to it: creating equity through giving a voice to parents as advocates. Okay, that's great. The communication could be better. So I see some themes emerging in regards to how information is communicated. And so I guess that leads me to question number two that's displayed as well, because they're connected. And as we're having this conversation around silo work and the lack of communication in regards to this particular vision, eh, I'd be interested to hear your responses to how you understand how the district came to making the decision to even undertake or go into or have or conduct an access and opportunity audit. What kind of conversations are occurring in the district around things like race and ethnicity, and as you know, Ms. Taylor, as you talked about, access or opportunity for students with disabilities, et cetera. What kind of conversations are happening in the district, and what do you understand around the district's decision to undertake this type of work?
Um,
Let me go with, I see Larry J raised his hand down there. And as a former
Hey,
school teacher, that always gets my attention. Go ahead,
hey,
Mr.
good evening.
Good
Thanks for
evening to you,
recognizing
sir.
me.
Absolutely.
So I was going to mention in the chat, my wife is Demita Jackson, so she spoke for us in terms of our the student that we have in the current county system. That's why I didn't respond on that. But to your current question about how do we understand the county district or the school district's decision to undertake an access and opportunity audit, I think it was kind of alluded to earlier. There's been a constant theme, I think, or challenge within the county school district that there is a level of disparity between different parts of the county, different segments of the county. So that's always been something that the southern portion, for the kind of non-rich, not white portion of the county tends to be less maybe not as may not receive the same level of attention or resources from the district as other parts of the county. So with that disparity kind of coming in through probably the last several superintendents, I think Dr. Horton has probably been one of the most intentional about trying to really change that, or at least change the perception of that, in terms of his approach. Specifically, like this council, as a great example, he's very visible and coming to the schools and actually making it a point to engage with parents at the school level, along with the administrators, and kind of letting us have that voice. And then, as an extension of that, we have this superintendent parental advisory council, which allows us to again kind of, I guess, in a way, synergize, our voices around maybe some common areas that we're trying to hopefully solve and tackle, through exercises like this.
And I appreciate you sharing that perspective with us. And when you talk about, you said the last few superintendents, can you tell me like a number of years that this has kind of been a conversation that's been brewing in the district?
do you want the
Well,
right
I was,
answer?
yeah, go ahead. You probably got the actual numbers right. Go ahead.
Look, all right, 10 years, decade, right? Like we've been through
At
so
least,
many so many damn superintendents. Like
at least, yeah.
I got one fired just because he was suppressing stuff. Right? Like, and then Ramona came in to save the day, knowing she's the one that buried the bodies for him. And then you get you get Cheryl, right? But everybody's mad because she doesn't want to do an audit. And then we get stuck with the other one who dug the graves for the bodies, which is Miss Tinsley. And then we got Dr. Horton. So that in 10 years is what we have dealt with. Now, Horton has been the most stable. I will give him a kudos. He has been stable. He has taken every jab I have thrown at that man, and it's fine. He's like, all right, bet, we'll do it. And I've even told him, like, I'm not advocating anymore. He's like, don't lie. Stop lying. I know you too well. You're not going to stop lying. I'm like, okay. Because I did. I went out and got Cox Campus. I forced the district. I'm like, stop paying for stupid curriculum when Cox Campus can come train you guys in structured literacy for free. And so I sat in the board meeting gleefully at Tinsley's last meeting, where she took the curriculum that I had been fighting over for 2 years, and she took it off of the agenda, saying, this is not going to be seen again. We're not going to be entering into a contract with this vendor. And I was like, oh, imagine that. And Stephanie looked at me like, Lauren, I was like, I told you Cox Campus. She's like, I know, we're in. So
Right.
that kind of
Okay.
gives you a purview of what we do as parents in this district. But I will have to say Larry, I will echo what he has said. I, as a white woman in this district, have been able to act out in ways that I should not have been able to get away with. All right? I mean, my butt was cussing out a superintendent, or not a principal and an assistant principal, right? There was a cop, for a Brookhaven police officer there, laughing his butt off at me as I was doing this. Now, at the same time, there was a woman in South DeKalb whose child had just tried to take his life, not once, but twice, also on an IEP, right? That woman comes up there, asks one question, says, why did you put my child back in that room knowing he just tried to kill himself with a pair of scissors? That's all she said. That woman didn't even get to see her baby. They put her in handcuffs and escorted her off of the campus and put her in jail. Now, me as a white woman, I'm over here afforded everything. The cop actually told me, don't do anything that makes me arrest you. But then here's the thing. After I got done, he actually fined the school because the school did not have every incident report as they're mandated to do. If you put your hands on a kid, you have to have an incident report, right?
Right.
So they got fined because they didn't have any record of it. I did. But then that mama, this same day, was put in jail and marched out in front of her son in handcuffs.
Yeah, I'm getting the picture. I'm getting the picture.
So that's how bad it is.
Thank you. Miss Hardy, you have your hand raised. Please share.
So yes, I think I'm trying to remember the original question a little
The
bit.
original question revolved around what do you understand around the district's decision to undertake this type of audit, and what kind of conversations have you been having around race, ethnicity, access opportunity, etc.?
Thank you. So I think just to be really brief, what I would say is that from the parent side, my impression is that we, in the district, kind of broadly speaking, we talk a lot about equity. And from a philosophical standpoint, everybody agrees that that's a good thing. But when it comes to kind of the hard work of making it happen, where the rubber meets the road, what we have oftentimes is a lot of parents, especially in the north half of the county, that like it in theory, but don't want to see the changes that are needed to make it actually happen in practice. And so I think my perception is that our board members, our district, they're fighting that battle. Everybody agrees. They all say the same words. We all say the same goals. But where the rubber meets the road is where the disconnect happens, because there are a lot of parents who like it until it requires something that they don't want to give up.
The
Thank you
podcast.
for sharing that,
Yeah,
Dr. Hardy. Appreciate it.
Go listen to Nice White Parents to get a preview of what she's talking about. That's a podcast that literally explains the North and the South version of DeKalb County.
Thank you. Mrs. Damaris Johnson, you had your hand up, and then Erica, I'm going to come to you. I see your hand up as well.
Hi there. Yeah, so I am I say relatively new parent. My kids are 6 and 9, but they're only in kindergarten and third grade. So I've been a school parent for just a few years, and I feel like I'm still learning. But just to share a bit of my background, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I didn't necessarily grow up in Georgia. I grew up in Arizona and moved here in high school. So I have a bit of, I guess, different perspective on what school systems look like outside of Georgia. And it is still really hard to like grapple with how different the north and south side of DeKalb County are. And even though we live on the north side of DeKalb County, and I know my camera's off, sorry, my kids are around, but my family's African American. We have Black children, we're Black people, but we go to a majority white school. My children do. I live in a majority white neighborhood, and it is just really disheartening that these are just what our choices are. They feel very limited, and this is such a huge district, but it feels like, I don't know if it's the state or if it's the county, but it's hard to believe that this is 2025. I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you left Georgia, you would realize how far behind this county is. It is so far behind. It just feels like we are in a time warp zone. And I forgot your name, I'm sorry, the young lady who was speaking, but it is really true. You know, Black parents are treated very differently from white parents, and it does not matter that the administration and district offices are filled with Black employees. At the end of the day, there's this power issue that's rooted in race. You know, she mentioned that, you know, the school was fined for not making an incident report when a teacher put their hands on a student. We had, ironically enough, we actually had an incident like that for my own daughter, where we had an incident with the teacher put his hands on my daughter. We transferred our daughter out because we had actually put her into a majority white charter school, hoping to put her in an environment with people who look like her. And we had to transfer her out within a matter of weeks. And I wrote Horton directly because there are people who will block everything that you try to report. When I tell you they block everything. And because I'm on this advisory council, I had access and emails to send, but I forgot what the assistant superintendent's names are, but she was quite upset that I contacted him directly because they don't want it to get to the superintendent. And that is why these superintendents, when the whatever hits the fan, it does fall on them because they are held accountable for everything, but they get fired. But unfortunately, I don't even know if they are aware of all the trash that's buried underneath. And so, like in my daughter's case, the principal ended up getting fired. But the teacher who actually did it was a white male. He's still employed. But the principal who got fired was a Black woman.
Oh no.
And the irony in all of this is just like, and I'm one person. I can't fight a system. You know, I have to look out for my kids. I have to protect my family. They have to go through this. I don't know how long we're living in this district. And my husband had to make a decision like, do we try to fight this system or do we just sit back and be like, all right, let's transfer her back to this all white school for the sake of like what is a more peaceful environment? Unfortunately, because the all Black schools do not get proper attention.
And thank you so much for sharing that. And I know we got a short amount of time, and I want to make sure I hear from as many people as possible. So I want to hear from Erica, and then I want to hear from Miss Treminio, please, as well. Follow her. So Erica, go ahead. Thank you, Miss Johnson, for sharing that. Erica, go ahead. You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay. I'm sorry. I've had like a million different technical errors.
No problem.
So I'm kind of speaking from the we're in Dunwoody. I think Kittredge is the perfect example of why a magnet school should exist for. But I don't think that I should have had the same opportunity to send my daughter to Kittredge when my homeschool was a high performing school. and then there's kids that are in lower performing schools who aren't given the same opportunity. I know it's a lottery, but so I think the way magnet is done here it's a little, I guess, different than where I came from. I grew up in, my district was Shaker Heights City Schools, and they were the first school district to purposely integrate. So it's there's a lot of background to that. And they had a lot of learnings as far as, you know, you can integrate a school, but they were still holding Black children back as far as not offering the same, I guess, push for them to be in AP classes and discouraging, you know. So one thing, but it's an interesting case study, I would say. Being at Dunwoody, and that my son's a senior there on the path. Our school is 35% Hispanic, and I don't know that. I don't know all the numbers everywhere. You know, I just know that. I volunteer every year at registration, and we're not allocated enough Spanish-speaking employees. We have one, and so we rely on trying to get parents to stay and translate, because I'm not saying just because you're Hispanic you don't speak English, but we have a lot of parents who need to understand what we're talking about, who also maybe not are new here and they're struggling. So even within the schools, the disparities that I'm seeing between the languages, it's just humongous. And so I don't discount at all the North and the South issue, and I'm passionate about I guess you can say, you know, just narrowing that gap and eliminating it. And but one, you know, just there are initiatives that our principal has done in Dunwoody, like encouraging everybody to level up like at least one class. Like, you know, if you haven't tried an AP class, try one. But Tom Bass is a good example of somebody who really is just trying to, you know, level that playing field. And I think as long as we keep saying North and South, and I don't disagree that that's an issue, but it's because we're larger than a major corporation with 100,000 kids or whatever. We're not even able to see the disparities in our own schools. The kids who are coming from a neighborhood versus coming from, you know, lower income housing, who go to the same school.
Right.
So,
oh wow, this is really good stuff. Thank you, Erica, for sharing that. Ms. Tremino, thank you for your patience. You go ahead. I see you, Ms. Bastian, and I see you, Ms. Russell. I wanna make sure, like I said, I got some more questions around school climate and curriculum and whatnot, but I definitely want to get your perspectives around what we've been talking about. So go ahead.
Ms. Tremino?
Yeah, okay, there you are. I didn't see you up on top anymore. Yes.
No problem.
Go ahead.
I lowered my hand. So again, I'm in a brown and Black household in the northern part of the county. We attend Ashford Park Elementary, and Lauren, I thought you posted your information at one point, but if you would share it again, because I need somebody who could speak for me, because my voice has been stifled, and I need people to advocate for my child. And I advocate for her as much as possible, but there's a distinct difference between the way minority parents are treated and the way white parents are treated. My daughter was kicked, hit, punched, had a desk thrown at her, called the niggers, spat on, and each time that I advocated for her, the aggression became more and more pronounced. When I put in an email to my principal that we felt the aggression was more targeted, we were ignored, we were asked to trust the principal, who we later found out we should not have trusted. And the narrative that African Americans cannot discriminate against their own is a false narrative. So in August, I had a homeroom parent approach me and basically accosted me and threatened me. When I asked for protection for my child, who, again, this homeroom parent has access to my child, I did not receive any response. Back in May, our family received, our cars were vandalized, our property was vandalized.
Hello.
And I was told to Google Ashford Park bullying Black girl. And when I Googled it, I found out there was already a parent who had experienced
She's
this
been
and
local for a long time. I don't know.
and had been run away from the school. So we then received anonymous emails telling us to leave the community, leave the school, take our child out of the program, take our child out of the school. And one of the emails had information that I had only shared with the district, with 3 members of the district leadership team. So we were desperate to get help from the district, because again of what had happened. However, we don't feel that as African American and Afro Latino household have received that support. We feel we've been ignored, and we feel our child is still in jeopardy and doesn't. The safety that we need is not provided, and it's just been a task. It's been a nightmare being in the school system, and it continues to be a nightmare because after advocating for my child, after going to the school and requesting a safety plan again from the school, after the homeroom parent attacked me, after one of the homeroom parents whose child called my child a nigger, after simply requesting a safety plan from a Black principal under the leadership of a Black superintendent, I'm banned from the school. I'm asked to wait. I sit and I wait.
Oh, hell no.
And
Okay.
I'm banned again. So your voice is stifled. You're put in a position where I'm not allowed to speak to my child's teachers. I'm not allowed to come to the school. This is my only child, and it is disgusting. It is disgusting for the majority parents to say, oh, it couldn't be racism because the principal is Black. It couldn't be racism because the superintendent is Black. However, you have to understand the operatives and the optics. And it is not what it appears. So I say all of that to say there is a lot that is to be desired for the school system. I believe the superintendent has a goal. However, he has to have that goal for all children, not just for the wealthy or not just for the people who have power and control. I contacted the board of superintendents and no response. They said they don't respond to individual requests or individuals, only a broad approach do they have. So it's again, minority parents, as Damaris shared earlier, I think we have it harder, and I believe people don't understand what burden we carry in what people would consider a predominantly Black school district.
Ms. Tremino, thank you so
Miss,
much
can I
for
say something?
sharing that perspective. And Ms. Taylor, I really want to get to the individuals that
No,
have
I
been,
know. I was
that
just
have
going
been
to tell her
waiting.
that I will
I
gladly
think you
take.
two should communicate. I saw it in the chat. I think you two
Yeah.
should link up offline so that you can help her kind of navigate through that situation. That's such a heart-wrenching situation, but I'm super happy that you shared that with us because that's very important around what we're looking at and what's occurring in the district. And I keep hearing some of the same things over and over again. So thank you so much for your candidness there. Ms. Bastien, please. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no problem. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to speak as not only a parent, I'm an alum of the DeKalb County school system. I went to Rainbow Elementary, Southwest DeKalb High School. I did not think I would have children in DeKalb County because I know Miss Taylor said it goes back 10 years, but I can assure you, I graduated from high school in 1993 and nothing in DeKalb has ever changed. And I hate to say that, but I it burdens my heart that economically it's also there's it's not just a racial disparity, it's also a huge economic disparity between low income, working class, um, people versus higher affluent, um, more, established communities. And that's one of the reasons why I've decided to be so transparent. Because I want to be a voice for the students who were bright and gifted, but did not have parental support at home, did not have the money, did not have those things that I needed to succeed in life or to go further. I graduated top 10% of my class, got a scholarship to Vanderbilt University, and realized when I got there, I could not cut it because DeKalb County did not properly prepare me, even though I did take AP classes. I was introduced to certain AP classes, but I did not have the equity of classes that other districts had. I went to school with kids that also graduated in the DeKalb County School District, and their experience was different from mine because of the situation that I grew up in. So I will say this, the question was, what's the conversation? There
Yes,
isn't a
ma'am.
conversation. There never really has been, because again, it is supposed to be a predominantly Black district. It is supposed to be, and what I mean predominantly led. But because of the nepotism that stems back probably 40, 50 years, we still have people that have been hiring their cousins on top of their cousins on top of their cousin-in-laws, that is so steeped in, you can't get those layers out of the way, which I actually appreciate Dr. Horton for coming in and trying to clean up a lot of that. And I give him props. He inherited a very clogged sink. Like, it is dirty. And for him to have to try to come in and be the plumber to this, he's not going to be able to do it with just a plunger. This is like a whole overhaul of an entire system that goes back to systemic, not only systemic racism, but economic disadvantages. I grew up in the hood of my of the county, shooting every night, helicopters flashing lights in your window. Like, that's how I grew up, and to have the opportunity to go to a school where I could see the likes of Al Gore's daughter and be in a classroom with Jacques Cousteau's granddaughter, but I'm sitting there feeling less than because I was not properly prepared for those opportunities. And that's why I'm speaking to equity across the board. And not to mention, we always talk about North and South. We always forget about Central. There's a whole area, a central area that, I don't know, do we include them in North? Do we include them in South? But there's an area that I feel like always gets left out in the Central District. So, that's all I kind of wanted to say. My heart goes out to everyone that we're trying to fight this fight together. I really hate that we're even broken up into North, Central, and South, because ultimately, as I've sat down and talked to a lot of parents from North and Central, we all are kind of going through some of the same things. It's just disparities in each area for different various things.
Right.
And I do believe in this district, because like I said, it raised me into who I am now. I had a lot of great teachers, and I will fight to see this district get better. And I'm just glad that so many other people feel the same way.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Ms. Russell, thank you for your patience. This is great conversation, by the way. Thank you all so much. Go ahead, Ms. Russell. You're answering a lot of my questions that I had to ask you through these conversations and in these perspectives, so we're okay. Go ahead, Ms. Russell.
I'm Tiffany Russell. I have 4 kids, 2 that attend Midvale and Tucker, 2 that attend Druid Hills Middle School. I am a prodigy of DeKalb County as well. Graduated Druid Hills class of 2002. Went to Henderson Middle School. The first year became a middle school in '96. Went to Midvale Elementary in Browns Mill. So I'm part of DeKalb when we had M to M, which was pretty much minority to majority. And you could, go to any school pretty much in DeKalb County. You rode a school bus, and then you went to school on the north side of the county. I lived in my childhood home, so my home schools are All Good, Freedom, and Clarkson High School. And my kids don't attend any of those schools. Back in the day, All Good and Roland were creme de la creme schools on the south side for elementary. So was Browns Mill. So was Panola, Farrington. But this was in the 90s. Here we are in 2025, and we're still having the same issues. I do appreciate the fact that I am on this committee, but it seems like we talk a lot, right? I understand the purpose of the evaluation and the report and everything like that. But at the end of the day, when I speak to other parents that are on this committee, we're just like, what did the meeting change? What was implemented? When are we going to meet again? What is our power? What is our charge? What do we actually do? It's great. I was pack chair at my middle school, and I was on the pack for my elementary school. And we talked a lot. Talk is great, but talk without action is what? So my frustration now that I have a rising ninth grader, at not our last meeting, but the meeting before, I spoke to one of the superintendent's cabinet members in regards to the seats that were being offered for school choice for high school. So, like I said, Clarkson is our homeschool. It's not good or bad. It was on the failed list for the state of Georgia. And I proceeded to say, well, none of the white schools on the north side of the county have any seats available for school choice. Only the black schools. So for like SB 10, I don't think there's any for SB 47, House Bill 251. All the schools are black. If I wanted to send my child to a black school, I would send my child to a black school. But that's not what I want to do. I didn't go to any black schools, so my kids don't go to any black schools. And we do say North and South. North and South has been an issue for probably the whole time DeKalb County has been DeKalb County. When is it going to change? How is it going to change? We talk about it, but when is the action to get it done? Here's my child. He's an 8th grader now. And today I did a late application for school choice because I was going to apply to any other schools because there are no seats available. Even with that, opening up the application process for late applications for school choice, as of January 3rd, that list is very small. It doesn't include any of the white schools on the north side of the county. It's only black schools. It doesn't really include anything for kids who have IEPs or 504 plans. So it's really just frustrating that here we are as parents. We want the best for our kids. I don't care if my child is purple, green, yellow, blue, whatever. I'm going to advocate for my child, the next child, your child, whatever, because that's what I do. I'm a parent volunteer. I've done PTA, I've done PTO. I sit on national PTA. I sit on national boards for Girl Scouts. Like when I say I'm very involved in all of my kids, I have 3 boys and a girl. So my Girl Scout, my girl is a Girl Scout. So when I say I'm really involved, but it's really disheartening. And it's really hard to keep fighting the good fight when nothing comes about. No resolve comes. So like I said in the comments, it's great that we're talking. It's great that you want to listen. But what are you really going to change with the information that's given? Because the CAB has misappropriated funds. They didn't want to do an audit. People making more money than they should. But when parents talk about it, we know where the body is buried. The parents know. If you're from the CAB, you've lived through it. You might have been a child in high school, elementary school, hearing your parents talking about this, that, and the third, but it's still going on. Now, granted, like they said, Dr. Horton is doing a great job. He honestly is doing a great job, right? Considering that we've had like 10 superintendents in the last 15 years. If you really go back, I graduated in 2002. We've had how many superintendents since 2002? You know what I'm saying? That's shameful. We've paid out money to superintendents that we fired. We've paid out money because superintendents didn't finish out their contract. So every year we're getting more money in our budget to pay out superintendents who didn't even finish their job, but we're still paying them. We're still paying contracts that should have been terminated years ago, but we're still paying. We're paying consultants to do what? What are you consulting on? You're retired, so why come back? So it's so much stuff, and I could talk forever, but yes, Dr. Green's still getting paid. But, it's just, I appreciate you and your time, I honestly do. But you have opened Pandora's box, and you, like my mom always said, don't cry over spilled milk and you can't unscramble eggs. this is a big undertaking that I don't think y'all are really ready to endure what could come about. Because change is good and we need it, but the reality of it, a lot of us, we love hearing it, but are we going to see it?
Well, I mean, and I appreciate that perspective, honestly, and that candidness from everyone as we've been talking. And to your point, Ms. Russell, as you talked about the carousel that the district has experienced in regards to leadership, but I've heard a constant theme in regards to kudos to the current administration and what they're trying to do. And I think even taking this step speaks to where the district wants to go around. I didn't open the box, they opened the box, right? They wanted to have that conversation, they wanted to engage in this work so that we could get to help the district get to the nitty-gritty and really impact and make it and really affect change throughout the district. So all of this perspective, all of this information, this historical context as well is extremely helpful in what we're doing. And I see your hand, Ms. Parker, and I'm gonna get to you. And I just want to put this out there because I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit. I want you guys to think about instructional access, right? And we've talked around it a bit. Some folks have shared stories about their personal situations in regards to their own kids with access regarding instruction, but the question that I want to broach is how well do you think instructional practices across the district address the various learning needs that may be in the district? And if you had to do a scale, right, of 1 to 10 of how well you think the district is, because I want to get some rapid responses, just drop it in the chat for me. Just drop that number in the chat. If you had to say how well the district in how well the instructional practices rather across the district support the various learning needs of all students. I mean, those that need additional support, those that require acceleration, multilingual learners, students with disabilities, whatever the case may be. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we sue.
I'm assuming 10 is the highest, like 10 is great.
Yeah, 10 being the top. Yeah. And while I said that, I promised someone. She put her hand down. Where we go?
It was me. There was
Oh,
somebody,
it was you,
it was
okay.
me. I was going to tell you, I've sued the district twice for a reason, and they still have me on staff. Or not staff, excuse me. They still bring me in to do professional development because, quite frankly, the folks that deliver it from the Georgia DOE lie, and the teachers don't learn a damn thing. So they bring me in to do real-time training, which ends up with administrators and principals walking out of the training, crying their eyes out, going, "Oh my God, I sent somebody to prison because nobody told me that dyslexia and behaviors can look the exact same way."
Right.
So that is the problem, is that instructional practices, you have folks in the district that know how to do it, know how to implement it, and I know because I got 10 kids in that district that are dyslexic and have learned to read, but I'm white. All of those kids are white. And it takes me firing off an email. Ain't nobody else going to get that reply except for me. And that pisses me off because I don't have a kid enrolled in the cab anymore because I sued and got him the hell out. But I stay the course. I don't leave the burning building. I don't leave the kids behind. I won't leave them. That's why I'm a thorn in their side. But they still invite me to fix it because they know they can't get kids to read. They can't even get the staff to adopt the professional development that by law they must adopt.
So, Ms. Taylor, I see you scored a 0. I see a
They
number of zeros.
Yeah, they get a 0 twice from me because I sued them twice.
Ms. Parker, I want to recognize you. You were the one that had your hand up and you kind of went way off the top of my screen there. My apologies, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. Parker. Please share with me.
Oh, no worries. I just was gonna say, like, just piggybacking off of that, to me it's a 0. The reason I specifically say 0 is because I'm just gonna be honest, the kids aren't learning anything. I mentioned it the last time when I didn't realize the deficit that my son had in basic subject verb agreement until he took the ACT or SAT. And he missed the pivotal years because they were COVID, but it's not like, and I think just giving everybody grace, we playing with kids and people's lives long term, but really they're not being held accountable. No one's being held accountable. The county has one of the highest rates of on provisional, so you have people that are actually teaching or educating kids that aren't really teachers. They haven't had the proper training to be teachers. There's no accountability for them to do what they need to do on behalf of the student. It's just like, oh, it's the kids aren't retaining, they're more so regurgitating what, I mean, anybody, they can look at something. So if my kid who's a scholar is doing that, I can imagine what a kid who's having a deficit or who has an actual IEP or 504 or special needs, and they're not providing them with those resources. But that's the same thing when we came and had the conversation last month about they did the ACT, but you didn't do it for everybody. Most kids didn't. Most people, like, our counselors suck. They're not advising. Like, they're not real counselors. It seems like they got the training, but nobody's being held accountable. And that's a deficit in the school.
Could you answer me this? When you said the ACT, you said it was not offered to every student in the, is this a program that the district pays for the students to take the ACT?
This is the first time they did it, and they did it for the seniors. They did like a sit down for the SAT during school. However, my thing is you gave them a day, but you also didn't offer, and I'm in the Tucker cluster, and we have, IB students, but you didn't offer any prep classes to go along with that. Like, so you asked them to wake up, come to school one day, and just take the ACT because you offered it. Like, no semi-notification. It was just, hey, wake up, we're going to take the SAT today. I mean, the ACT today.
Got it. Okay.
And there's a deficit. And you build programs such as credit recovery, but credit recovery is doing just that. It's recovering the credit and talk about the increase of graduation rates. They have no choice but to graduate on time when you're offering a lot of free retakes 5 and 6 times.
They better not.
So that's why I gave my 0.
Okay. Thank you. And Ms. Johnson, I see you raised your hand to share out. Please, the floor is yours.
Oh, hey, good evening, everybody. So I couldn't rate because I don't feel like I have a good view of what it looks like in total. So I didn't put rating, but I'll say from my experience, I am a former teacher. I work in another school district. So the question that you asked is really not even just DeKalb specific, in my opinion. It is nationwide, how teachers don't really have the adequate resources, training needed to do what we consider quality tier 1 instruction. So I see it even within my own child who does not have any kind of disorders or disabilities that even the literacy instruction, to me, it doesn't follow science of reading practices. And so I think that there are gaps for sure. I don't know if the gaps are tied exclusively to the quality of the candidates that we have to be teachers because we do have a teacher shortage in this country, and that's a real thing. And so getting quality candidates might impact the kind of instruction a child is to receive. So in my opinion, yes, there are inequities more than likely, or the quality of instruction is not there, but I don't know if it is what would be necessarily the root cause for it, because it is really a nationwide issue. So I don't know if DeKalb is going to come up with the best solution to fix it, because it's such a pervasive issue when it comes to quality instruction for all students, even regardless from income level. Tier 1 instruction is just poor across the board. So that's my feedback. So to give kind of like both sides to it in terms of, from a parent side, it's probably not quality, but there's probably some way big issues as to why it's not quality that might be perceived as out of our control to fix.
Yeah, and thank you, Ms. Johnson. And you bring up, you started by saying, this issue that we're talking about isn't necessarily unique to DeKalb County, and I will tell you, you're absolutely right. We work with a number of large urban school districts across the country, from Miami to Chicago to Houston, even Las Vegas. Like in a lot of these issues that we're talking about show themselves in a number of these districts. So, Ms. Johnson, did you re-raise your hand, or was that left over from earlier?
I did re-raise it.
Oh, go ahead.
I did want to just say I did score at a 4. Because
Okay, talk to me about why you scored at a 4, please.
the reason I gave it a 4 is I do feel like there are some schools that have great instruction in the county, but it kind of goes back to your first question that you asked about race. The majority white schools, the reason why I keep hearing people mention white and black schools, it's not because I don't think most black families want to send their kids to an all-white school. I think most black families want to send their kids to a school with great academics. And it is clear that in DeKalb County, for your kid to get a great education, it seems that you have to send them to an all-white school in DeKalb County. And my child, just use as an example, we put her in an all-black school at the beginning of the semester by choice because we wanted her to be around people who look like her. And unfortunately, she had long-term subs. A month in, the majority of her teachers were long-term subs. And I emailed the district daily. Like, how is this possible at our white neighborhood school when I tell you that would never be accepted? That would never be a conversation. That would never be allowed. But this was a Title I all-black school where they were just ignored and just kind of left to kind of figure it out. And so, yes, I do feel like there are some schools that get fantastic instruction. It's just not everybody gets access to those schools. And so again, it's this issue of equity. And by the time parents fight this, they are either exhausted or their kids have aged out, and then you start the whole process all over. And you have a whole new superintendent. Something, there's in any like large corporation, there is somebody, something, there's a board that holds people accountable. I cannot understand for the life of me how this isn't like better managed. Like this, there's too much money funneling through this district that there's parents having to try to problem solve for this. You see what I'm saying? Like this would never happen in any organization of this size. So again, there's great education. They just happen to be majority white schools.
And thank you so much. And we have about 10 minutes left. I want to make sure I respect your time and your evening. I know this is voluntarily you guys jumped on to have this conversation, so that's why I keep continuing to thank you profusely for your candidness and the conversation that we've had. I want to switch gears a little bit, just slightly, because I want to talk about how you feel, right? I know, again, many of you have shared stories, and it kind of helps us piece together what the perception is across the district from hearing these different perspectives from all of you. But, I want to ask you, do you feel welcome when you are at your child's school or in your child's classroom? And how does the district help you feel welcome, or if they don't, what gets in the way? Like something that we haven't heard already tonight when we talk about the silo work or whatever. How do you feel at your kid's school or in the classroom?
I got my hand up and I'm gonna let everybody else talk, but I'm gonna tell you what happens when you start getting as a squeaky wheel and you start asking questions. DeKalb County is heavy on retaliation. They take it out on the kids because they can't get to the moms. They put us on communication protocols. They like to prevent us from having communication with the teachers because somebody is deemed hostile in that relationship. Now, when you set a communication plan up for a mother and prevent that mom from having direct communication with your child, you end up finding out 6 months later your child was found in a gym having a crippling panic attack because nobody told mom because of the communication plan. Now, that teacher was retaliating against my child because she didn't like that I didn't take no for an answer and that I was going to buck back if she did not follow my child's IEP. So that's my answer is how do you feel? I got to a place in my school, Dr. Bolds, bless her heart, I love her. She and I both understand and we get it. But those teachers that wanted to come at me so bad, they took it out on my kid, on a baby. He was diagnosed with PTSD induced inside the classroom setting because grown women, I ain't even gonna call them grown, these little girls wet behind the ears from UGA coming in here taking it out on my kid because they're mad at me. That happens all over the district. I've got so many kids in this district that I have to triage their mental health and their PTSD diagnosis. These kids are going to private schools that cost $40,000. I've got these kids going to the Oak House schoolroom, which is a hybrid remote homes, or not a hybrid homes, hybrid private school. I've done everything in this district, literally. I've created my own homeschool, virtual homeschool for kids because of the retaliation towards kids and the retaliation towards parents, the physical abuse, the mental and verbal abuse that we receive. If we speak up, that's what happens, which is why I'm on this panel. My kids don't go to these schools. My kids are not.
I heard you say that earlier.
They're
Yes,
not
ma'am.
an experiment for DeKalb County or any other public school district right now because I advocate and I know what the hell's going on around the whole damn state. But I'll say this. What these parents have gone through, one of my mamas, Rachel, is on this call. The things that I saw happen to her daughter or her kids, that was a different level of hell. And her daughter finally got so mad because we could not prove it academically harmed her anxiety. She tossed a Chromebook at the counselor's head. And I dared them. I'm like, if y'all even try to punish her, I dare you because I have it in writing and I have you all on audio and video. And you all know, we asked you if you saw it and you all said no. I'm like, you just saw it. Does it academically impact her now?
Okay.
So that right there, that's the scope of what we deal with.
Okay. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. And I see some comments here in the chat around some different experiences. The principal, great experience that were. And it was the question I'll restate just for everyone is or your classroom. And I know that's a loaded kind of question depending on what location is and what's going on. But about get to the way I want to scroll back up and kind of see where the areas it was Miss Russell that made that comment. And Ms. Russell, I'm going to come back to that, but I want to get Ms. Hardy and Ms. Bastian who have their hands raised with our last few minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Hardy, real quick.
I just wanted to say, I mean, I can only speak to my personal experience, but we have had wonderful.
Oh, what just happened? Is that it? Did my internet go down? Like a mofo? Damn. Oh well. Okay, on the real. Are we doing this right now? We're doing this. I had to jump off because, you know. This is some fuck shit.
Recording in progress. Put that out there that it hasn't been perfect, but we have had great success trying to work out, various problems of different kinds. So
Thank you, Ms. Hardy. Ms. Bastien, real quick. Ms. Bastien, if you're talking, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get off mute.
No problem.
I just a couple of points. First of all, I agree with I think it was Ms. Harding. Completely. Wadsworth is an excellent program. I know people whose students go there. I would like to say my child is in Chapel Hill Middle Magnet School, which totally gets ignored. But I have had great success with 2 students at Chapel Hill Magnet program at this point. I'd also like to say, as far as being welcomed, I know a parent said something about Black schools versus white schools. I will say this, the Black schools that we have attended, I hate that there's a bad reputation about the Black schools. I have had excellent teachers at the Black schools. I've had excellent, my children have actually done pretty well considering their personalities at these schools. So I'm not sure exactly what people are looking for in educational environments, but I have been quite pleased and I feel quite welcomed at both of my children's schools, and it could be because I am a constant presence there, but also I just feel like it has been a warm environment for me. But again, I'm speaking from my relative experience, but I did just want to add that I did not want to for the Black schools to be just kind of, yes, there's an equity issue, but I would like to say that the education that a lot of these teachers are giving is actually pretty good.
Thank you, and I appreciate you.
And I'm sorry, can I just clarify? I want to be clear also, like, the teachers we had were fantastic at our Black school. My issue was not with the teachers. We had an issue with the white male teacher at the Black school. What I was trying to bring attention to is the district neglects the Black schools. I feel like they're quick to respond to the needs of the white schools. And that is the issue for me, that when there is an issue, whether it's a repair or they need resources, I feel like the district will jump and provide those resources at the majority white schools. And I feel like the Black schools have to plead with the district. And I do not have an issue with the Black educators whatsoever.
Thank you for that clarity. And I know we're up against time, but I do have one more question that I want to kind of throw out there to everyone. And if you feel free, you can just kind of put it in the chat. Just a brief sentence about it, but and I know when you hear the question, you're gonna be like, how am I supposed to put that in a brief sentence? But let's try as best as we can, because I want to make sure that everyone kind of gets that. And it's really just an overarching question, and I've heard a lot of it tonight, breaking down some silos, better communication, this idea around the north-south kind of thing. I'll tell you, that's again, across every district, that even the district that I spent the majority of my career in Miami, we're situated the same kind of way. So I understand that dynamic that you speak of, but I will ask this question anyway. What do you hope will change because of this access and opportunity audit that DeKalb has now decided to undertake? We'll just pop it in the chat. Just throw it in there, whatever it is. I see you, Lauren. I see it, Erica. I see it. Accountability. What else? What else we got? What are you hoping would change? If you could say what you wanted to see change as a result of all of these rocks that are going to be lifted up, all of these band-aids that are going to be snatched off, what would you want to see change? Okay, hire chill, okay. Fire dead weight, got you. I saw a few comments about the role of area superintendents earlier. I made note of that. Equity and better accountability for kids, okay? Okay, and removal of the regional superintendent, okay. And as you pop those in, I do want to say, on behalf of Lauren and Rita and the rest of the PCG team, I want to say thank you for spending time with us this evening, engaging in this conversation with us. We know this is not easy work. Dr. Horton knows that this is not an easy undertaking, and I appreciate every single one of you for hopping on, number one, staying on, number two, and staying plugged in, number three, to the conversation and providing us with so much critical insight, so much critical historical context and perspective. Shout out to the graduates that talked to us about what they experienced while they were in the classroom and what they're experiencing now as parents in the district. I appreciate everyone's candidness, their honesty. Not at one moment did I feel like what I was getting was contrived or it was made up or make believe. You all are truly passionate about the role that you play on this council and truly passionate about the work that you do across the CAP. So I just want to thank you and tip my hat to you for participating in this focus group with us tonight. And we really, really appreciate it. Continue to put your stuff in the chat. I'm not saying that to stop you from doing that. I just want to thank you because I know we're past time and I know folks need to hop off and cook dinner and all of that kind of stuff and do homework and get kids ready for the school day tomorrow. I know you guys have a possible impending snowstorm coming later this week, so you're probably trying to prepare for that too. But I did want to just say thank you on behalf of PCG for your participation this evening tonight. And if you have any questions or want to connect with me offline about something that we didn't talk about or something that you want to share, I am currently typing both my email address and my personal cell number into the chat, sharing it with everyone. Feel free to reach out to me via email or via phone, via text. Sky Mail, Pony Express, however you feel like you want to get at me, please get at me if you want to continue this conversation or you want to share something with me that you didn't get an opportunity to share today. So thank you guys very much. I was told when I was done that I could release you, that no one else from DSCD was going to hop back on and say anything. That is I'm sorry. Yes, it is a 70. I was typing way too fast. Yes, 786 area code. And I'll retype it in there just to be safe. Yes. Sorry. Good catch. Good catch. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. I'll hang around for a couple minutes just so that you can continue to put in these answers. I want to peruse these answers actually. Accountability, equity, respect. But thank you, everyone. Ms. Russell, you got your hand up? You want to speak?
Yes. I know you wanted to ask me a question about the area superintendents.
Oh, yes. Go ahead. Talk to me a little bit. You said, well, you know what you said. Speak a little bit more. Speak a little bit on that for me.
So the area superintendents, I want to say, took over for the title of regional superintendents. They have elementary, I want to say like north and south, and then they have middle school, and then they have high school. So in regards to, like a railroad, if there's an issue with a parent, then you can call the area superintendent for whatever, elementary, middle, or high, and you can make a complaint. You can be anonymous. You can say, I don't like how Ms. Johnson is in the front office and she has access to volunteer in the front office. You can make that complaint to middle school, Ms. Taylor, and she's supposed to investigate it. But in that investigation, never do you get a call to say you have a complaint. Never do you get asked of what happened. It's just a unilateral, you just can't volunteer in the front office. Not saying that you can't volunteer anymore, you just can't volunteer in the front office. Because another parent who is being petty, who doesn't like that parent, just wanted to say she has access to the front office. And in that, I guess, for me, and I'm just using hypotheticals, but the situation did happen to me. I had a parent make a complaint saying that I had too much access to the front office, and I was volunteering. Like I said, I'm a parent volunteer. So it's like there's no checks and balances. How do you have somebody make an anonymous complaint, and when I find out about it, because I was never told about it by the principal. I found out from somebody else in the school that here you are helping out the front office, okay, during a peak time when they needed the help, taking, a few hours out of my day when I could be doing something else. And a parent called just because she did not like me, and she never came to the school to volunteer. So you got a parent who knows the system, knows what's going on in the front office, never has had an issue with any other parent, but it wasn't investigated. Never did I get a courtesy of, hey, Miss Russell, what happened? Can we just have a conversation? But I can't volunteer in the front office because you don't like me, but you didn't investigate it. So you just sweep it under the rug. I can still volunteer, right? I can still, be in the school, and I'm in the school all the time. That's not a problem. But here's a parent who literally didn't have to be trained on answering the phone, didn't have to, who can go make copies, who can, watch a class, who could do whatever. But you have one parent that made a complaint, and it was never investigated properly, at least.
They do that.
So that's my issue
Checks
with
and
area
balances.
superintendent.
Got you.
Yeah, checks and balances.
Okay.
Like you should be able to make a complaint, yes, if it's valid and it's investigated, but why? So
I have a thing for her to go.
Thank you, Ms.
This
Russell.
piggybacks off her, and then my daughter standing right here. This piggybacks off her. So Dr. Green was let go from the district due to his suppression of ethical complaints. He was literally standing between the ethical complaints and the Georgia PSC. The Georgia PSC had launched an investigation. He was blackmailing the Board of Education. I had to file a police report, and because my child kept being assaulted by other children. The problem in this district is still very thick. The complaints that parents actually take the time to file, either anonymously or not, don't see the light of day because you have that layer of administrators who don't want to report it. I've got emails from Tinsley and Ramona both telling me that I may have been a mandatory reporter, but I was in no way, shape, or form supposed to do anything to report what happened to your son. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, what? And that was when they were the interim superintendents. Now, this is what upsets me. There are good people in DeKalb County. I busted my butt. I would not stay here if it weren't for the fact that I just refused to walk away. I'm not leaving these kids. But the bad outweighs the good. And we need to make sure out of this that first that our voices are actually heard, actions taken, and that we fix the problem of hiding the bodies. And we need to make sure that the people that are in the place to make those decisions and do that are met with that energy, because you've got teachers in this district who have so many ethical complaints working inside of the Horizon schools, which are the state identified schools. Mm-hmm. It's gross. Those they don't need any access, and their teachers. Those are people that I personally reported to the Georgia PSC, and me knowing that they're working with kids in Horizon schools, that's not okay. And I work for the Southern Poverty Law Center. I work for all of these, like the NAACP. I'm an advocate for all of them. So I'm not going to sit back and turn my head. And Dr. Horton knows that. And that's why I'm the loud one. That's why I do all the things. And why I talk too much is because y'all don't talk. They don't talk to us for more than their allotted hour. And the IEP meetings, you need to, by the way, fix that. The mandatory 2 hour, that's maximum IEP. Stop it. That needs to knock it off. Because
is that a district policy?
We don't know where it came from, but we know it came from COVID funds, and we know it came from the
better question. Is it being called a district policy?
It is being called numerous things, but it came from advice that all school districts all over the country received from lawyers during COVID and after COVID, and with the ESSER funds. They decided to instruct staff who had been in 4 to 6 hour IEP meetings with parents at times to only allow 2 hours at most. And you have to beg for those 2 hours. Now, if that parent wants to get in and out and solve something, let them have the 4 hours. Don't keep dragging them in meeting after meeting, because you keep taking that resources from those kids in that classroom because you keep pulling that teacher for a meeting. Whereas you can just get it all done in one meeting. So the time stamp that y'all have on IEP meetings, or that they have,
Don't, Miss Taylor, please don't. Look, I am not
I know.
district. I want to make sure that remains very clear.
You're right. And this is the last thing. I was trying to find it, and I want to leave it with you. GOSA data, which is the governor arm of the, you know what that is, right? So GOSA data, which is usually the data we pivot to, and as advocates, we trust the GOSA data. 43,000 white third grade children tested proficiently in the state of Georgia, right? 43,000 black children in third grade tested. 43. They only came in at a 23.6 proficiency rate. 43,000 white kids came at a 51% proficiency rate. Now, you can't tell me 43,000 kids in both buckets are dyslexic. They ain't. And the problem right there is all my work, all the literacy stuff I do, all these bills I get passed, all these legislators that I hate working with, they all know this is done by design. And the thing is, with this panel, what we need to do is actually talk about things that affect kids. If we're going to talk about systemic race, or if we're going to use the word systemic equity, all of that, can these panels please bring more to the table than whatever is news in the media? Because I don't want to I'm not wasting gas to drive to AIC to talk about something that is a non-issue and will go away. And that's what the problem has been. Make it a relevant conversation. Black babies in this district are routine, in the state, are treated as afterthoughts. Don't get me started on the ESOL population. Those kids ain't got a shot in hell. I stay in the data. And I know how many kids are on IEPs in DeKalb County under the SLD bucket, the OHI bucket, all of that, right? DeKalb County needs to stop flagging kids as behaviors, and they need to screen them. SB 48 is for that. And they are literally failing miserably, and to the point that I told Horton, I'm filing a systemic complaint against the district for failing to do something as basic as screening every child for dyslexia. Because you can teach all kids to read with Orton Gillingham and structured literacy. That's all. Structured literacy works for everybody, right?
You're talking to a 20-year literacy teacher, and I work for the Department of Education. I know you're speaking my language.
You see my background? This is my artwork that I.
Yes, ma'am. You're speaking my language for sure.
This is the thing. I speak at like the Reading League conference, IDA conferences, all of that. My message to administrators all the time: communication or behavior is communication. That kid is trying to tell you something. If that kid's acting out during core subjects, that kid is saying, I can't read, I can't write, I can't do this math problem. It's always a pattern. And that's how these poor principals and these poor teachers end up going, oh my God, I sent a baby to prison because nobody bothered to tell us. That right there is a red flag. And I have to look at these poor teachers and I'm sorry. And they get mad at people they shouldn't be getting mad at. And then, last thing, we fire teachers in DeKalb County that make a mistake, but these are teachers that are busting their butts to help kids. My friend Sherry, she's a letters trainer, and she actually got fired in DeKalb County for something she had no knowledge of because they did not teach her about the behavior component of dyslexia. She got fired. That woman paid her own way through letters, OG, everything. DeKalb never, ever footed the bill, and they, to this day, have never engaged with her appropriately. The reason the SBLC sued DeKalb County was because of Sherry. Sherry was working with a child, and they had to bring in SPLC because it was like, yo, this kid is in 9th grade. You have denied the child the right to read. That ain't okay. We're done.
Right.
All right, I wasn't okay with the lawsuit because I'm like, that's for one kid, man. If you're gonna sue somebody, make sure it hits the whole district. Don't do it for one kid. And because $56,000 is a drop in the bucket for DeKalb County, they'd rather get sued than actually do the work. Trust me. So I want a lot to come from this thing, but what I don't want, the surface level stuff, what needs to happen is like top down, gut it, and then also allow parents to actually have conversations about systemic racism. The fact that we had kids walking around the school in these Region 1 schools when Trump won the first time saying, you're going to be deported. That's what my son got. That was the messaging he got in Region 1. Was all of his friends who weren't white, the little white kids were running around the school going, oh, you're getting deported. Trump won. Our guy won. That is systemic, and it happens every damn day in all of the Region 1 schools. The racism is thick. I know what they do to the parents. I have helped so many of them. It needs to be the biggest topic because the disparities I see as an advocate gross me out. And I do, like, I work with the Black Literacy Matters Committee. I work with, like, I'm speaking there this year with Kareem at the conference. So these are things that I'm passionate about. And I really want these kids to prove the Georgia DOE wrong and knock it out of the park like they've been doing with literacy. And for that to happen, parents need to understand just because their child is being screened, it does not mean their child has dyslexia. It is to make sure their child is supported. And it's also the you need to communicate with the teachers that don't want to do the professional development. Granted, I get it, but in corporate America, we always have to do more professional development every year, right? More and more and more. That's every job. Teachers have a lot on their plate. I get that. We need to get the teacher to kid ratio down, but also the teachers need to understand they're being gifted training that cost Sherry, the teacher I talked about, Sherry paid $15,000 out of pocket to learn how to teach children to read after she'd already graduated with a master's from Mercer, right? So she had to pay more out of her own pocket after she got fired from DeKalb County to teach children to read. And that's why my principal made sure it was in place because she worked with Grant Rivera at Marietta City Schools before she came to DeKalb. They already knew how to fix it. And the first thing that Dr. Lori Bolds did when we did our fun run and our fundraisers was convince parents. We had the parent buy-in to roll out Horton Gillingham, and we certified every single staff member. To this day, she does not lose teachers. She keeps them. And it's mandatory to work there. And that framework needs to be replicated throughout the district, and it needs to be replicated all the way to high school because that's it. I'm sorry. That's just me. That's why I'm still here. Everyone's like, Lauren, you're crazy. You're literally suing another district. Why are you doing this right now? I'm like, because I'm not going to leave these kids. I don't walk away. And Horton knows this.
I gotta say thank you for your passion. I appreciate,
I mean, I even wear my public school, my shirt that I got from. He's an APS board member makes this line of clothing. Alfred's Laundry.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor, for your insight, and thank you everybody for hanging on and talking.